Hello everyone, Philopater here, and welcome to another exciting episode of Total War Rome 2. This was actually the first battle in a long time that I was able to use my war elephants without immediately getting them killed off, and so I'm very excited to show you. I know, it's a bit shameless, but oh well. Anyways, I am playing as the Army of Carthage. My main line is composed of 6 Libyan infantry. I really like these guys. They're not the best swords in the game, but I think they're a great value for their money. I have a front line of 3 Libyan hoplites, which I will use to screen my main force. I have a skirmishing component of 3 mercenary Cretan archers. As I said, my general is an African war elephant. And then on each flank, I have one of these mercenary Iberian swordsmen to act as a supporting force, and then 2 Carthaginian cavalry on each flank. My opponent is playing as Egypt. His name was something like Malleable Statesman, except it wasn't spelled that way. I'll show you at the results screen, so I apologize right now for butchering your name. But his main line is composed of 4 Thorax swordsmen, backed up by 4 Nubian bowmen, and then supporting troops of 2 mercenary Kushite shield women. His general is a Ptolemaic cavalry, and he has a second unit of Ptolemaic cavalry. And then on each flank, he has a citizen cav and an Egyptian cav. And then lastly, off in the distance, an African elephant. So, I'm just pausing for a moment, taking a look at what my opponent has brought, seeing if he's going to move forward. I know, I'm kind of a jerk for starting off completely hidden in the forest, but like I said, I like to watch for a few seconds and formulate a strategy. And now I'm pushing forward. So. Yeah, we are on normal speed. Seems a tad slow. Anyways, the problem with war elephants is they're very easy to run amok, and you're going to see just how quickly I managed to run my opponent's elephants amok. You really need a lot of patience when you're using these guys. You need to keep them in the back, away from the main fight, until your opponent's skirmishers have been removed. Then you can send in your elephants as the killing blow. In ancient times, especially we see it with Hannibal at Zama, we see it with King Pyrrhus when he was fighting the Romans. A lot of times, ancient generals would take their elephants, point them forward, and just charge straight ahead. And in reality, this was probably the only way to use them, because elephants would easily kill your own men trying to run through the back. Like, see this here? This would result in hundreds of dead Carthaginians. Not to mention, in ancient times, it would actually get the elephants drunk, and so you want to put them in front of your line and have them charge forward, then send in the infantry after the elephants have done their damage. But in this game, it's simply not possible. The elephants run amok way too easily. You need to save them for more an endgame situation. A little bit more maneuvering going on here. Now I'm going to do something a little odd with my mercenary Cretans. Normally, you want to keep your men in a long, thin line when you're skirmishing. But you can see here that I've put them into this much thicker boxy formation. And it means that the Nubian bowmen are going to be able to land more arrows with each shot. But it also means that I can bring all of my archers to bear on this one particular unit and kill it really quickly. Meanwhile, his other 3 units of bowmen have to move forward in order to engage my archers. And I can simply screen with my hoplites and with my cavalry, get a lot of shots off with my Cretans without taking as much damage. My opponent's going to get a little too excited with his cavalry, and they're going to get trapped by my own cavalry and by these Libyan hoplites. Meanwhile, the other hoplites are pushing the archers back, and my Cretans are simply cleaning up. As I mentioned earlier, I need to get these archers off the field before I can commit my elephants. Now, I was focusing over here on the right, and so I caught this at the very last second. I was able to put my Libyan hoplites in hoplite wall, but Malleable Statesman is going to get a great trample charge off with this African elephant and really do a number on my Carthaginian cav. Fortunately, I've already brought these mercenary Iberian swordsmen up, and they're going to throw their, actually soliferum, not javelins. And one volley, and the enemy elephants are already running amok. I was going to send in my own general to stop the elephants, but I didn't want my general taking any friendly fire from these javelins. The elephants are going to start to dying. Good night, noble creatures. What a shame. And I'm going to use my own cavalry to get a charge against his stationary his stationary citizen cavalry. Excuse me. So a little bit of payback there. In the meantime, as I keep mentioning, my archers are cleaning up his archers, and the main infantry forces have engaged with each other. I was able to drive his cavalry away from my right flank, and now my own Carthaginian cavalry is going to come back to take on these Ptolemaic cavalry. The Ptolemaic cav is going to get a pretty good charge off against these Libyan hoplites, but I'm going to put these Libyan infantry into shield wall, and use these mercenary Iberian swordsmen to throw javelins into his general, and they are going to die fairly quickly. And of course, here comes my own Carthaginian cavalry. These Ptolemaic cav, that's all they're going to do in this battle. Let's see, there was some elephant-on-elephant action. Sorry I missed it. But I've decided that most of my enemy skirmishers have been removed. These Nubian bowmen, I thought these Nubian bowmen were going to rout. They'll actually come back from routing. But it's high time to send in my own elephant. First target of wrath is going to be these Kushite shield women, and they're going to rout, and that's going to allow this unit of Libyan infantry to come in and help clean up the flank. Meanwhile, my elephants are going to crash into the center. Let's watch this charge. And even though the Egyptian thorax swords were doing fairly well against my Libyan infantry, these elephants are going to come in and simply clean up. And it's going to mean that the thorax swordsmen break in the middle, and his line is going to start to fall apart all over the place. So, finally managed to rout his Nubian bowmen off the field. My elephants are now, for the most part, fairly secure. His general is here. His general is going to die in a moment to sustained archer fire. As I said, these Libyan infantry are going to come in and roll up the flank. And his line is going to start to crumble all at once. Let's see. My war elephants didn't get a whole lot of kills, but they enabled the center to break through. That was their biggest contribution to this battle, was freeing up these Libyan infantry to then come around. He tries a last-ditch attempt to set my elephants running amok, but his general has died, and that is the end of the Egyptians. So great game to my opponent. Let's take a look at what your name actually... See, anyways, it's almost like Malleable Statesman, but it's just not quite spelled properly. So, again, I apologize for ruining your name. Please forgive me. Let's take a look at how my units did. My Carthaginian cavalry could have done better, but for the most part they were simply fighting the enemy cavalry, so not a whole lot of kills to be gotten there. My elephants didn't get a whole bunch of kills, but again, look at this, a full unit of elephants. I'm so proud of myself for managing to pull this off. And it wasn't so much the kills, but that my elephants allowed my own Libyan infantry to break through the center lines. My mercenary Cretans did a fantastic job of driving away the enemy bowmen. Of course, the bowmen did not get a whole lot of kills. They were not able to run my own elephants amok, so they did not do the job. They only had one job, and they weren't able to do it. And of course, my opponent did get a whole bunch of kills, 600 kills. Well, 550 kills is nothing to laugh at, but they were mostly on these weaker Libyan hoplites and Carthaginian cavalry, and my main line of Libyan infantry was entirely still intact. So again, great game to my opponent. It was a lot of fun playing you. I actually have a second battle that I did against him that I'll bring you a little bit later, maybe sometime next week. I hope you enjoyed this battle, and I'll see you in the next one.